podcast. So the cat was supposed to be here. He's gone.
Yeah, he was floating on the bookshelf.
Uh-oh. Yeah. So anyways, this is I believe we're live here. Had to drop everything that I was doing in my real life to have this online debate and clash,
the most important
and
thing
fight with somebody online. We were quarreling on Reddit and just going at it, just line after line of text, and nobody else was participating. Never mind. You're deliberately tapping now, Tibetan bell sounds. So I'm here with this person I found on Reddit who insists that he has to be right all the time, and he wants to demolish me with his facts and logic. Clearly, if you look at this guy, look at him. He's got a guitar in the background, his gun and sword. He's wearing a beanie. Clearly, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Look at my background. Look at how erudite I am. I've got volumes of text. And to illustrate that this is not fake, I'm going to pull some books off the bookshelf here. First of all, I've got the field guide to Rocky Mountain wildflowers. This is an important text if you ever encounter somebody like this on Reddit, because who knows when they're going to try to demonstrate their superiority about the wildflowers in their area. And you can just pull this book out and you can say, look, you're wrong. I got the definitive text. So another book I have on the bookshelf back here, the Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Sea Creatures. Who knows when? Some of these weirdos are into things like that: sea creatures, anemones, moray eels, walruses. Even some of these weirdos out there are super into walruses, and they must be stopped. And the only way to do it, the Audubon Field Guide. And just to prove that this is not a joke, on the back here I have tons of philosophy tracts. Boethius, the Consolation of Philosophy, Cicero, the Nature of the Gods, Basilius, I'm probably not even pronouncing this. I haven't read it, but I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. The Orestian Trilogy, Seneca, Letters from Stoic. I think I've read this one. Sophocles, 3 plays. So all of these texts I will use in addition to, of course, Descartes. Who could forget Descartes? Cogito ergo sum. What does cogito ergo sum mean, Mr. Reddit? Do you know what that means? What logic? What's the logic? Cogito ergo sum. Come on.
Cogito is probably cognition, so brain.
You should know this. You're a college graduate. What is Descartes most notable for?
You don't put the horse before Descartes.
Wrong. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. The first premise, I think, right? Which is, I don't know. So anyways, you haven't read it. What about the Prince? Nicola
Machiavellian?
He's the guy that came up with the scandemic. He's the guy that told us how to use the vaccine to bring socialism into our world. Okay? to put 5G Wi-Fi into your bloodstream so we could track you at any moment, even though we could already track you because of your phone.
I like it.
Finally on the bookshelf, a book that's probably super important to you again. Ayn Rand, the founder, or not the founder.
Dostoevsky. Come on.
I have Dostoevsky in the other in my other library.
Okay. The backup library.
Also, Game Informer issue 168. This is when Uncharted came out, the first Uncharted on the PS3. I bet you haven't even played Uncharted on the PS3. Have you, Mr. Reddit?
No, Mr. Reddit has not played Uncharted. I'm not a cartographer. I don't have a map.
Let's get into this now.
I'm ready to battle intellectually.
Okay.
And I feel like we have a great way of contextualizing this whole conversation that's going to put everybody right into the middle of it and know exactly what we're talking about.
Our good friend Panthapire says, "What are you two nerds doing?" She probably witnessed this in real time. The clash of the debate bros.
The adversity,
she saw it
the
happening.
struggle.
She's trying to maintain composure among online weirdos and having a difficult time. Also, BB, the real BB, unlike these other BBs in the chat and online that I'm interacting with, this is the real deal, guys. The real BB. Here for whatever impromptu craziness we've decided to bring about. So, anyways, Mr. Reddick, do you have something else that I should be calling you? Do you have a preferred?
Toast Pool. You can call me Toast Pool.
Okay. Okay, Toast Pool. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you think why you believe you do what you do online and social media and on Reddit?
Oh man, you're good at this. You're good at this, Terminal. And thank you for having me on this podcast. It's so great to have a debate with a fellow intellectual over here. It's far too often that we get caught up in just meaningless conversations and superficial action. So it's great to get right down to brass tacks and discuss the real heart and soul matters over here of what importance. So I'm going to tell you why I come online. A lot of people think I come online just because I like hearing my own voice. I think I'm so smart. I know what's to do.
Those people would be true. Those people have the correct assessment of you. And I'm sticking to my guns on that.
You believe that, and I understand your framing. And as someone with your capabilities and background, I understand your perspective. And therefore, I welcome you and invite you into the journey to understand, from my point of view, why I think you're wrong. Anyway, so what is the purpose of being right? What's the rightness and wrongness? What is intellect good for at all? Humans evolved intellect to be superior to other animals, to increase our adaptability and survivability.
Hold on. I'm going to push back on that. That's not why they did it. It just happened through pure circumstances and environmental change. Okay? Push back against that.
Okay. Irregardless.
Irregardless. That word that you're using right now, regardless, I'm going to push back against that too.
Irrespective,
I'm going hard.
regardlessly.
I'm going hard against you, man. Because
literal figurative message.
Don't break character. It's hard enough for me to be whatever I'm doing right now. Don't break character. You got to be serious. You got to be, all right. So anyway,
okay.
And I'm sorry that we're making light of whatever it was. We were having a serious conversation here about this.
I lost the train so long ago, but this is great. Okay. So what is the purpose? What is the interaction of this? Last time on our podcast, Justin came on. Are we making a difference? What is the point?
And I would like to point out to everybody out there that you said, when I first started listening to you and Justin, and you guys were talking about changing the world through these silly videos, I thought you were full of shit. You said you paraphrased.
I thought you were ineffectual, not that you were full of shit.
Okay, yes. All right. Fair enough. But you did not believe in the cause.
But I'm here and showed up, did I not?
You didn't believe in this cause that we made up and Justin and I, we do this little thing where we play together, where we're making our little videos and playing with our little alphabet blocks and pretending that we're making the world a better place. And you pushed back on that. And it was like a knife through my heart. Okay.
Oh, you felt attacked because I popped your bubble. I popped your little bubble. I broke your little echo chamber for a second.
No. You just betrayed friendship. Friendship means you tell all your friends complete bullshit so they remain your friends. You do not ever betray their trust by insinuating that anything they're doing is not heartfelt or sincere or true.
I agree. I'll agree to disagree. Sometimes, you got to enable your friends, make them feel like they're smart, just so that you can break them down and rebuild them as you see fit.
I do that a lot with you, my friend. That's what I'm doing right here.
Oh, or am I doing it with you? Who's breaking down who over here?
Man.
I. But anyway, the reason I'm so smart, and I like to tell people why I'm so smart and correct all the time, is not because my ego likes to get stroked. It does. That is partially the reason, but it's completely secondary, Terminal. You keep making it sound like it's my primary motivation out here, but it's secondary. It's secondary. I want to help the world, and I want to help the world by helping people understand the world. And by my journey of self-actualization as a white man will help people understand what the hell's going on so they don't get panicked, so they can go, I understand why this thing is happening. It's not so scary. I know it's going to happen. I know when I get that shot in my arm, it's going to sting, but I know it's for good. So my intellectual capacity is just to help others. It's not to like brainwash people. It's to help. If you don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me. But don't tell me like I'm doing it just for my own ego. I'm doing this because I'm such an altruist.
I'm getting a lot of white saviorism on your behalf right here. That you think that you can go online and go into Reddit and tell marginalized communities how it is and how you're here. You're mute. Oh, can you hear me? I'm actually watching the YouTube stream and confusing myself and thinking that your mic's muted. That's how talented I am. Yes. So, anyways, your white saviorism, constantly going into Reddit and not just kind of, vaguely insinuating your whiteness and your superiority over people, and how that your European Western culture gives your opinion on Reddit more value because marginalized communities don't have the same access to Reddit that you do. They can't, they don't have the infrastructure because the government isn't providing them with free Wi-Fi. But you get it. You get it because you're privileged.
If there was a point there, I don't know what it was, but I'll just say this. Martin Luther King was great, but he wasn't all about protesting. He was about making people as effective as possible. He went down to Birmingham and stopped people from doing ineffectual protests to do more productive economic boycotts because economic protests were more effective. So I'm not trying to say, don't stop what you're doing. Your heart's in the wrong place. I'm saying, let's make sure you win. I want you to win, baby. I'm on your side. I'm rooting for you. But you don't give up a home run. You do not throw a passing ball on second down when you're at the touch zone. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, you give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. That's what I'm saying. No.
What I'm saying to you, and I'm trying to convince you of this, is that there were two competing modes of thought. You're saying that Martin Luther King was saying that these protests were ineffectual, but Malcolm X, my boy, said that Martin Luther King's tactics were ineffectual and that we needed to be more revolutionary. And that's why I make videos about Jordan Peterson. Okay, because that's where real change happens. Jordan Peterson, Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, when we get those figures, that's where the revolution happens. It's not about joining a mutual aid group and affecting change around you. It's not about how you interact with your neighbors. It's about online videos about right-wing grifters.
It's about upvoting the right posts. It's about liking and reposting the right tweets. It's about trolling people. It's about doxing people who disagree with you. I agree completely.
It's about being in the right bubbles. It's about being in the right online bubbles where you are not hearing the viewpoints that you don't want to hear. That's super important and critical to how we affect real change. If we are listening to opposing views rather than actually immediately, hiding that person or unfriending them or doing whatever we can not to hear that opinion that upsets us, we are not using social media to its fullest potential.
I agree. If we're not helping to divide and conquer the American populace into little like chambers that do not communicate with each other, we're doing it wrong. You want bubble tape, they're not all connected. You pop one bubble, all of them don't pop. You don't want them to connect. You don't want that interdependence.
Are you a member of the subreddit? Bubble tape, the bubble tape subreddit?
No, but I probably would like. a lot because I do love popping bubble tape. That is very up my ASMR attitude.
Okay.
But I mean, that's the Americans. People have more serious thing than bubble tape. You know, we got an economic bubble bursting, and nobody wants to talk about that right now. Besides these real American heroes, like the American heroes.
Yes, G.I. Joe. I don't know who else. Who else would be considered a real American hero? Like by everyone. Do we have a real American hero that nobody's going to push back against?
I want to say Captain America, but maybe
Justin's going to push back against that guy.
Captain America, he fought Nazis. That's a tough one.
He still represents U.S. imperialism according to communists like our friend Justin.
Oh, but I mean, okay, a non-imperial. What has America done that's not been good imperial? I mean, we've like invented some stuff like medicines and stuff. Maybe we have some like scientists and doctors that we could like venerate. But
we could get onto the topic of vaccines and how Jonas Salk invented the polio vaccine, and then rather than make it a business venture, he
gave it away for free.
An unbelievable concept.
Whoa, and it's great too. That system of giving away free, communism, terrible. It's a better system. Let's take all of the taxpayer funded money, pool it together, give it to research companies, and then let them patent the drugs that they research using our money. Then it's
not even that. It's not even that. It's that we fund these things through our public universities, and then we let the businesses take them over,
get the patents on them, and profit off of us.
So apparently the school I went to, even though it's not a great school, it's the #1 research institution in the entire United States, which means the #1 funding of corporate businesses in the United States. Doesn't mean they're actually doing research that's going to make a difference. Like my dad, his research at the university I attended to, he did his master's thesis on lizards. I'm not going to say what kind of lizards because that's going to dox me, because you could actually look up.
Yeah, I'm sure that's niche enough that you could find them.
My dad was so committed to the research on lizards that he opted to live in Arizona instead of California and go to the University of Berkeley because Arizona had better lizards to research.
I like that. So you agree with Elon to eliminate wasteful research like lizard research? Then I take it. No. That was too real. Apologies, Mr. Terminal. I didn't mean to cut too deep. Too far.
I'm going to hide myself real quick so I can find this document I have here because
I'll respond to chat while you're. I
wonder if I can switch to you. Can I switch to you?
Yes,
I switched to you. My switcher works. So hold on.
All right. A human, you say, it's true. People who don't take the time to do their research shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's a great topic of conversation. We should definitely have a longer debate stream with this debate bro team over here of who should have the right to vote in America. Because not all citizens have the right to vote currently. Like prisoners can lose the right to vote. So should we remove other people's right to vote? That's a great question. We'll debate it next time on Terminal Live. All right. Panther Pyre says losing me on the sports reference. I know. Losing anytime I go into sports kind of loses you, but we got to make this a little bit more universal. I'm toast pool right now. We got to diversify our audience. It can't all be about Panther, but we love and appreciate your presence here. JP was the only father figure I could ever trust, even if he uses big words sometimes like those coastal elites, what pretentious D-bags. He's proof that some intellectuals out there have figured the truth. There's a lot of great clips about Jordan Peterson that Justin and Terminal have, and I love just playing them in my mind when I hear Jordan Peterson, whatever.
I wanted to ask you, how did you fall into Justin's circle? Because I suspect you are, it's kind of a co-intel program because you went to one of those fancy schools and you do math, that you're actually, you're infiltrating Justin's Discord to watch him spread communism. That's my theory. But tell us what video you actually watched that brought you in.
I'll get onto the introduction of Toasted to Justin after I respond to A Human's last comics. I want to make sure that chat is heard because we love, appreciate, and interact with chat greatly here. Please like and subscribe. It'll boost the comments here, engagement. We love it. But A Human hopes that Elon appoints him head of the new bureau that will replace the Department of Trans Education. Man, Jordan Peterson, trans education. We got to just get the interior, exterior. Every department needs to be consolidated under Peterson. But isn't he Canadian? I guess he can be Canadian. And
so many of these weirdos are from Canada, and also the not weirdos. We have a lot of good people who comment on politics of American politics who are from Canada. So it's hard to say that Canadians shouldn't interfere, and talk about our politics, because actually a lot of them pay more attention to it. I went to look for this text related to the research thing, and I found this instead, which I wanted to talk about. Game Informer with GTA 4. And honestly, these are not my Game Informers. I just found them in a box somewhere. I would never pay for
that's a lot of money. Yeah.
I hate GameStop with a passion. I would never pay for that. So, but I did find the document in addition to the original birds book I wanted to pull out so I could talk. Nice. We started by talking off birds, and here's some beautiful pictures if you're into identifying.
Are you
birds.
A low-key birder? Do you got a pair of
I fucking love birds.
You're a high-key birder. I like it. You got like what's that bird watch list or something?
I've never, like, the people in my family and circle, they actually do bird counts for
birding. Yeah.
But I'm not that serious. I just like identifying the birds in my backyard, knowing which ones are which native, which ones are not. Can run through some of the birds in my backyard. Got ringneck doves, which are not native. They're from Africa. We've got mourning doves, which are native. We've got Gambel's quail, native. I saw cowbird the other day. Cowbirds are super interesting because cowbirds do not build nests. So how does a creature...
They're super annoying. They're super loud, cowbirds.
Oh, they make awesome... No, that is not cowbird. A cowbird call is...
Cowbirds squawk a lot.
No, cowbirds have like a gurgling sound. We need to pull it up. Bobby, pull... I mean, Panther, pull it up. I mean, Brandy, pull it up. The cowbird song. So cowbirds are parasitic birds, which is fascinating. So anyways, there's the bird book. Also this book on pigeons, which talks about how Mike Tyson became a pigeon fan. This book I'd highly recommend. It will make you love pigeons. Pigeons get so much hate. I see pigeons in my backyard. In addition to hummingbirds, yesterday I saw a peach-faced lovebird, which is not native to Arizona, actually native to Africa too, but they were released. People keep them in cages, released, and now they've got native populations.
Yeah, it used to be fun. In San Francisco once in a while, I would like wait by I used to take the ferry, and like you would just watch the birds, and there's parrots. There's like the parrots of San Francisco.
Yeah, there's a documentary about it. There's a documentary about it.
You see the giant green bird, you're like, that's not right.
So this is not green screen is really effective.
I love the green screen.
This is the Arizona Rare Plant Field Guide, a collaboration of agencies and organizations. So I imagine this is kind of the stuff that Elon is looking to destroy because he sees no value in it. Whereas like if you're like, I assume like any of us, we love knowledge, we love esoteric things, and the idea that we would know less about them because it's not profitable is horrific. It's like I love one bird fact that I love is birds' lung system. It is so much more efficient than humans. They have basically like a dual lung system in order to like maximally extract oxygen. That's how they can like fly over the Mount Himalayas, and we need to bring O2 tanks. If you haven't read about the physiology of bird lungs, it's super cool. I long to have a gizzard. I wish I could just have rocks in my stomach and, grind up my food. It just seems like a far more interesting way than having some kind of acid that just is like, I mean, it's elegant. Like we're kind of like the alien in Aliens, we got this acid in us, and if you cut us open, our acid is like, oh, don't get that on you. Birds just got a couple of rocks in there. It's a cool thing. But here's the document that I really my father passed away probably, I don't remember, but it was a very traumatic experience for me, but it was like 5 years ago. But my mom has been going through his stuff, and she's like, here, take this. And she's always constantly giving me all of his stuff because she doesn't want to just throw it in the trash, and she doesn't want to give it to Goodwill. She wants to think that his legacy lives on. So here is the document that I was really curious for. It's called Systematic Application of Spermatology and the Comparative Sperm Morphology of Anaran Amphibians. And this is from the university. I'm going to dox myself that much. I went to Arizona State University. My father worked there for pretty much my entire life. He didn't work in the Department of Zoology, but I took classes in the Department of Zoology. So there's this book or document. And this is the kind of thing people will say, oh, that doesn't matter, right? But all of this stuff matters. And also, I think giving people creative jobs, paying people to do stuff that isn't necessarily generating profit is probably a social good. We probably have a better society if people who are interested in the systematic application of spermatology and the comparative sperm morphology of honorine amphibians were able to engage in that rather than just having no hobby other than going online and quarreling with people on Twitter.
Or just the corporate life, or if you've ever been in any meeting, they are so much more unproductive or waste and negative productive than any of that. There are some things that come out of that of value. There is a lot of negativeness and waste all the time.
There's a guy who passed away a while ago, David Graeber, I think his name is. He's an anthropologist. He wrote a book called Bullshit Jobs, and it's just basically about how we've constructed this elaborate system of bullshit. I haven't read this book, but I
haven't either, but I know the concept just resonates.
It's one that I wanted to get onto. And also, I wanted to talk about, since we're hearing the resonation of your keyboard, are you using a mechanical keyboard, and of which variety?
I'm not using a mechanical keyboard. I'm using a very cheap wireless keyboard.
Really?
Yeah,
we need to get with the program. Okay, a real debate, bro. Shoot. And was it probably muted too? Could you hear us?
I could hear you, but I don't know what was going on the stream.
Anyways, I wanted to go back to a human commented on the grinding of food with stone. And here in the Southwest, I also studied anthropology, and there's a thing called the metate where you grind corn and with stone. And I was always fascinated with this idea of the stone ground thing. And it also ruined people's teeth because they would eat the corn, and there's so much grit in it that when you looked at their teeth, there's a whole field of anthropology of understanding people's diet through their dentition. Anyways, we're just talking about weird trivia here. Yes, we were silent. I'm sorry, a human.
Yeah, the scene changes are tough. Yeah, actually, why were you even changing scenes for? Oh no, it was trying to give me like the full microphone.
I accidentally hit it. I think I accidentally hit my hotkey when I was pulling out the keyboard. And I'm going to go back to getting the scene switches fixed. But also, this was supposed to be just a meeting of us working through some of the scenes.
I do love how like you've bashed me on like me needing to fix my audio issues, but there's audio issues every single stream that completely cut off, as opposed to just some banging in the background. But you know, your pedanticism is more important than
being pedantic is something that is like core to my personality. It's really hard to tone it down when you're interacting with normal people. But like when I see somebody do an ellipse and it's not 3 periods, I'm like, that's not an ellipse.
That's hilarious.
That's multiple periods just scattered on the page.
Here's
you gotta have 3 periods to do an ellipse.
you don't kind of give me the vibe of like an OCD, like clean type of person. Are you like a neat freak? So see, that's what's funny. Like ellipses bother you, but like I'm like, I want my like if my kitchen's counter has crap on it, I'm like, I'm not gonna feel relaxed until I clean this. Like that's
I exist in chaos. Like Justin and I have talked about this. Like my partner is a type personality, and in lots of Eastern religions, there's this concept of you have the creator force and the destroyer force. In Hinduism, I believe it's Vishnu and Shiva. Shiva is the destroyer. Vishnu is the protector. So one person is supposed to be protecting the things of value that should persist through time. The other person should be destroying the things that we need to move forward from. And I think it's funny because this is the idea that Trump is elected. He's like Vishnu, but he's like Shiva, but there is no Vishnu to keep whatever is going to help us forward. So essentially we just have destruction with no preservation.
I'm okay. I had to figure out who Shiva and Vishnu's role, but I now understand Vishnu's probably destruction and Shiva's stability. But I don't. Yeah. Okay.
That was reversed, but it's like yin and yang too. You have yin and yang. All of these things are just basically the same thing in different cultures, except for America. We don't have like Eastern
There's
philosophy.
Good and evil, devil and God. What do you and
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. It's the stupidest and most juvenile version of that. The good and like the idea of good and evil is so silly, and it's funny to me, like being online and you see people talk about Satan, and anytime it's just like that somebody believes in a scary monster, that a grown adult believes in a scary monster. I don't want to shit on people for being spiritual, because I think that's how we survive, is having these kind of harmless truths in our brain. But when somebody like believes in a evil demon doing things, it's just really like, that's why America is failing, because we have people who don't believe in science, and they think that what's happening, there's a whole segment of people who supported Trump who think that he's the savior and he's part of Christ's plan to bring about Armageddon. So
that's scary. Yeah, exactly. And Obama was the Antichrist. I mean, yeah. So do you think that? Yeah.
I love that we're having this conversation, because I think that we were going at each other over some of these issues, and a lot of times in text, it's like I said.
I forgot what we were even talking about. That's fine.
We started with the very touchy topic of vaccines.
Yeah,
it's a thing like masks. I don't think should have ever been politicized, but because everything is politicized for agendas in America, it was, and it sucks, because we should just have. It's hard because we have to balance the idea of the value of the individual versus the value of society. And like I said, sometimes we kind of have to have a human sacrifice in which somebody ends up getting shit on or dying.
So in the trolley problem, you would definitely kill the one person as opposed to the five, is what you're saying?
The trolley problem is complex because it deals with issues of agency, and for morality to really happen, somebody has to have agency, but you've deprived the person of agency by putting him in this situation. So it's not they didn't get to this in the good place because they don't have the volume of tracks that I do on philosophy, logic, but basically the trolley problem is not really a moral problem, because moral problems involve moral agency. And what agency do you have if your only choices is to kill people, right? You basically created a situation that is untenable. It's like me saying, you saying that rape is bad, but I say I can create a situation where you would have to go rape somebody, and you'd be like, no. I say, well, what if somebody said you have to go next door and rape your next door neighbor, or I'm going to kill your next door neighbor and I'm going to kill everybody in your neighborhood? They basically deprived you of your agency, so it's not a moral question.
Yeah.
So, anyways, those are the kind of debate bro things that will be happening on the Beanie Boy Debate Bro 2020-25 challenge here. We are people who wear beanies, because all intellectuals wear beanies.
We put in the intellectual work. We work over here.
So, anywho, we've got 8 people watching us, which is...
I can't believe 8 people are watching this out of... I mean, thank you all for watching. This is an intellectual and very important topic that we're discussing. And you're real, true-blooded, and patriotic Americans to listen in onto this very important discussion. And thank you for the international folks as well, listening in on these important conversations to help raise and augment our intellectual capabilities to make the world a better place.
You're pretty good at that. You're pretty good at some improv here. I'm just I'm trying to riff. I'm not
sure. So the funny thing is, like in my mind, I'm imitating like you and just vibing off your riff. So yeah, in some ways, my imitation is just an imitation. So it's a form of flattery. I'm flattering you by imitating your own energy over here, Mr. Beanie.
Well, I wanted to compliment you. I'm gonna take my glasses off. Generally, like in this space where I've got the tracks, like again, here it is. Robert Nozick's Philosophical Explanations. When I've got these heady tomes here, I need to convey how well read and literate I am, and the glasses help me do that. And in this particular case, I'm going to keep the. Well, I kind of don't want to keep the glasses on because I get these weird reflections. I wanted to take the glasses off, and now I completely lost my train of thought and forgot. No, I know what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say was I was really impressed that you managed to say some things that made Justin like essentially write a 5-paragraph essay on our Discord about his experiences. That was fascinating.
I like to think that's my superpower.
Wait, is that
Thomas Piketty, Capitalism in the 21st Piketty.
His name is not Piketty.
You're right.
His name is Piketty, okay?
Mom Spaghetti, Thomas Piketty.
I have it, but I haven't.
Oh, it's dry. I mean, it's pretty much exponential growth happens in economies. The rich are capturing the exponential growth. The poor are always going to get poorer. It's a mathematical certainty. That is kind of the TLDR. Yeah. World War II was a small aberration in that a lot of rich people died. Other than that, consolidation of power and money and wealth has been just perpetually ongoing.
And are you contrarian on this book, or do you kind of agree with the basic tenets and kind of assume?
I agree. I mean, I don't think it has too much prescriptive stuff. It's more just factual descriptive. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there was too much that I disagreed with. It was more just like, yeah, we're fucked.
That's the same thing with Marx. The book that Piketty's Capital is based on is obviously Capital, and Marx didn't really. His text was just an economic analysis of what's going on, and he had some theories about how labor is stolen from the working class, which I think if anybody but the working class would agree with his position on when you do the work, and then somebody comes in and takes half of that because they basically control the market, they control the means. Anybody would agree with it. So it's funny that Marx is shit on so much.
Man, we got Thomas Russell showing up, 9 people in chat now. This spontaneous live stream has been a great success. So it's inspirational. I thank you all once again for showing up to today's intellectual debates.
And Thomas is my good friend, Tom Cat from Reddit. So we initially started this conversation because Reddit is like I mentioned this all the time, that Reddit is probably my favorite social media site because it does allow people to shit on other people and downvote. And I love seeing people with bad takes get negative 100. I do think that there is tremendous value in it's not group thought, but a brain trust where what is the term for it? The term where you have a group come
echo chamber?
No, echo chamber is what it also is. But no, where you have a group of people work out the best solution to a problem.
Crowdsourcing.
Crowdsourcing. Okay. I think there's tremendous value in that because I think sometimes individuals who are in charge of things, like Elon Musk, he's basically thinking that he's in charge of everything, but really, if you crowdsourced if everything that was under his control were crowdsourced, you'd probably get a better outcome for everybody rather than a better outcome for him. So we were talking. I learned.
Oh my God, I'm struggling. How is that related to Reddit and like Doge and crowdsourcing? Well, I did not get all that.
Maybe crowdsourcing isn't the word that I'm looking for. Then the idea that you would put an idea out there and basically people work through it, producing facts and ideas and whatnot, and then the group comes to the best. A hive mind, I guess, would be more apt. I think hive minds are better than singular minds. I think we as a group come to better conclusions than we do as an individual. I think putting trust in an individual is always problematic. But if we are in this raises issues of how uninformed our electorate is and people in America, and how our education suffers. And you can't come to good conclusions in democracy if you don't have an informed electorate. So there's lots of issues here to discuss. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was your revealing to me your Reddit profile and how active you are on Reddit. It seems to be your primary place, isn't it?
Oh, hell yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, like, for the most part, Reddit, it's very benign places that I post in, like Boston Terrier. Yes, I'm without a doubt one of the top people posters in there. Have like one of the top 1% commenters badges. Most of my comments are, "That's so cute. I love your puppy."
You mentioned this take that we were kind of mulling about and not arguing about, but just discussing. And you're like, "Oh, you should see some of the things I said on Reddit." And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go do that." And then I'm trying to go through here, and it's just all Boston Terriers and StarCraft. And I'm like, okay, it's
you
like
gotta sort by number of votes.
I'll do this a little later, but I love Reddit, even though it does have its down, like everything. But it's the one system, and it's probably going to get ruined. They're probably going to ruin it. They've been ruining it since the get-go. But so anyways, I wonder when the next social media system will come out, and how
I'm glad it wasn't the metaverse. I'm so glad it wasn't the metaverse. I remember like when people were hyping that up, and I was like, this is the stupidest thing. At my work when they were discussing projects like that, I was like, why are we putting anything into this? Like, I would be that guy that said that out loud, and I would get shit on for that publicly, of course, but like everybody would then tell me privately, oh yeah, you were right, and then the project gets quietly shut down. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the next thing's going to be.
That video of Mark Zuckerberg having his virtual avatar, was it in like some kind of disaster zone? And he's like, hey, look at me. And he's got his little virtual me, or is that what the me's
I don't even know. They look like me's. They basically were.
It's like, here we go. And it's like so stupid. Oh, so stupid. Thomas first A Human says, I'm going to have to write some talking points on the numerology of Unicode sometime if this formal becomes a regular thing. Yeah. So again, I'm still trying to root out. I believe there's a government program called Term Intel Pro, where the Discord has been infiltrated by somebody trying to root out radical communism because of my affiliation with Justin. Even though I called myself a communist as a kid, I probably have no problem calling myself a communist. Even though some people think, oh, you're like a Russian communist or whatever. I'm a communist in the sense of, how like native peoples lived, just the sense of communalism, and there's nobody really owns anything. And if you're the person, like, imagine if you were in a tribe and you're related to everybody, and then somebody finds something in the environment and they decide that that's theirs and nobody else can use it. And in order to use it, you have to come to them and give them some of your food. That's capitalism, and like it's ugly. So anyways, I'm rambling, but A Human is one of the people I suspect, because A Human has all this technical knowledge, and there's a number of people. I'm not going to mention them all, but I know that Bobby and Justin are not. I've determined that Bobby, damn it, Bobby, Brandy. I know that Brandy and Blake as well. You see, you don't understand the sophistication of this kind of name dropping.
I think you just you're laying breadcrumbs down various rabbit holes. It's
Billy.
I think like the thing that is to me, like, I stopped being like interested in the name game, but you like are still running with it, I'm amused that you're still amused with it. So I'm meta amusement.
That's my OCD. Is like, once I get something and I just start chewing it, I'm just not going to stop chewing it, no matter how annoyed people become around me. The Christy Gnome video that I did was like after everybody said
fudge rounds make so much sense now. Like your whole 1,000,001 fudge rounds manifestation. Okay.
So it's exactly that. I take issue with that person, and I'm like, here's my body of work. in a better world or a stranger world, I would be in academia writing a text about some philosophical treatise, but instead I'm online doing video essays, kind of doing the same thing, trying to illustrate the folly of this. So the Christy Gnome thing, I stopped doing it after everybody's like, she's not worth doing this. She's a local figure. She's obscure. Stop making Christy Gnome videos. And then finally, I think I made 7 of them. I stopped making the videos. And then when she came back into notoriety, I was like, I'm gonna make another one. And then last night, because I looked for all this footage to make that video, I got fed another Christy Gnome public appearance. And I was like, oh, here's the next Christy Gnome video. So it's rough. That's my OCD. It's not that I'm like, I don't ever do the counting times. You know, I don't like 1, 2, 3, 4. My OCD is just being obsessive about something and not being able to stop doing that obsession.
What is like the half-life on like your obsessions? Like how long, like for me, like I get a great idea, but like it won't necessarily drive me to finish a project. But it seemed like with Christy Gnome, that like stuck with you for days and days and weeks. And same thing with like this name shtick. You've been on it. It even manifested into the Christy Gnome. Like
for me, like my passions don't ever really subside. And I love learning new things and I love looking at new things, but it's hard for me to juggle being obsessed with everything. So, but I still can listen to the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. And I don't know if it's stimming or what, but I just have this obsession, and I still like the same things I did when I was really young. Guinea pigs are my walrus, even though I'm like kind of out of guinea pigs because I'm not allowed to have a guinea pig. So
for legal reasons.
No, just because my partner, like, she didn't even want to bring the cat inside when we found him in the backyard and he was crying and he was emaciated and he had terrible diarrhea. She was like, we're raising a kid. I don't necessarily want to have another thing to take care of. But because I was like, oh, he's so cute. Look at him. And he was so kind. And I convinced her that, well, both Terminella too. So we kept the cat, but she's the one that changes the litter box. She's the one that feeds him, and she's pretty good at it. She's like the best cat maintenance person ever. And it's amazing that she doesn't have that resentment towards me, because the cat like loves me because I'm the one that he imprinted on me when I saved his life out there. Because he was crying for 2 days because his house was torn down and he had no place to hide. And he was just crying and his mom was gone. And like apparently 48 hours of crying when somebody comes out and brings you inside and gives you some food, and no matter what kind of organism are, you're grateful for that. So he just
the trauma bond. I like it.
So, exactly.
Oh, so that's cute. The origin story. What's your cat's name again? It starts with an S. Scruffy, Scrappy, something.
Well, he's got this kind of glove pattern that kind of looked like a foot sometimes if you look at it. So I originally called him Sasquatch. That was his name. And then I called him Squatchy, which that turns to Squishy, which turns to Scritchy, which turns to Squatchborg, which turns to Squishborn. So all the time I call him whatever name is I find fun. But really most of the time I just call him Buddy. I'm like, hey buddy. And I do it in Digby's voice. Digby's buddy.
I like that. How well trained you got him too, doing sits and giving paws. I was like, you got a dog cat over there. That's awesome.
I shared the video with Billy, in which so Russian Blues are probably the most trainable cat, and they're very light and probably more domesticated than a lot of other cats, and they're very easy to train. They're easier to train than most cats. There's this idea that cats can't be trained and cats are, herding cats and whatnot, but that's just not true. That you can get a Russian Blue to like jump if you say, come up here, and they'll jump in your hand. So I tried to do this with my cat. I have the video and I shared it. Maybe sometime I'll share it. I tried to train him to jump up into my hand, which is like, I don't know if most people can get their cat to jump in their hand. And the problem is he's so heavy that I had to drop him. And so he's scared to do it. But, he is highly trainable. He loves, his favorite food in the world is salty turkey, like from like, just
the package.
Just the cured meat. He loves turkey so much that anytime I have a turkey sandwich, he comes and he raises his hand because he's like, hey, 'Cause I trained him to get 5. He comes up to me and he's just like, "Hey, I want some of that." So I should
I
share
want
some
the
of that to you
reward.
sometime. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
unfortunately, we made Brandy, die in Slither with our conversation.
I saw that and I don't even know what it was in reference to. I wish I saw it in real time, but yeah, I'm happy and sad that we killed her with laughter. So if I had to go, laughing my way to the grave would be probably one of my choices.
Now wait a
But
minute.
yeah.
Earlier I asked you what the video was that drew you in to.
Oh, the origin story? Yeah, I did. Then you got into your birds. You got really excited about your bird book. I didn't want to interrupt
birds.
the flow over
I
there.
love birds.
Plus me and Justin, it's not that important. So how did I find Justin? I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, Justin was really cool. So yeah, no, that's why. So this is how it happened. Like, I remember.
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you. This all is providing evidence that you are in Term Intel Co-Pro or whatever. You couldn't just say, "Oh, I saw his Bernie Sanders video." The reason I'm like, you didn't know who Hassan was, because Hassan is like intimately connected to this left wing sphere. But then you mentioned Jimmy Dore. I'm like, oh, now this guy's
an agent over here.
He's infiltrating us. So
yeah, no,
I've
never watched Hassan. Like, I'll be honest, I've seen Jimmy Dore. I've watched some of his. I've never seen a Hassan, whatever his name is, thing. But so no, I found Justin. I don't know where or how it got recommended to me, but it was that Bernie Sanders video, and I love that thing. I watched that like so many times.
That's the correct answer. That's the correct.
But the thing is, though, that's not like how I knew Justin. Like, I started going onto his comments and was like, I demanded. I was like, you need to open up a Patreon right now if you don't already have one, because I'm like, I want to be one of the first people that will be like on the Patreon list when there's like all the people, because I figured he was gonna blow up like crazy, because I was like, this shit is top tier, amazing, hilarious. And so, like, okay, you want to ask something?
I do, because it took you a while to say the Bernie Sanders video, and there is a white surveillance van parked out in front of my house, and I'm just wondering if they were feeding you like, it's the Bernie Sanders video that brought you in.
No, because it's like
it was his anti-billionaire rhetoric that brought you in.
I mean, I did watch like basically his whole catalog after like watching the Bernie Sanders video, but like the video alone didn't attract me to the Discord or anything. Like, that didn't happen. Like, the fact that I heckled Justin into creating a Patreon, like, he was then like messaging me on Patreon and like talking to me a bunch and like asking me my opinions on things. It's like, this is insane. The creator's actually talking to me and wanting like my thoughts on things, and was like trying to even get me to collab. I was like, this is surprisingly nice. So like, I don't know. I just reached out to him. He started talking to me, and like, it took me a long time to join his Discord. Like, I find Discord to be super overwhelming. You have like a bot in there that has a red circle in it. I had to block that bot immediately.
What was it doing?
I don't know. It was like posting like avatars or something. Like, you had some bot. Like, I just can't stand red notification circles. They drive me nuts.
Oh, so, like the Discord notifications. What I was like,
until I had to mute everything. Eventually, like, I was able to be like, okay, I can go into Discord. But like, I still go on Discord as like a surgical strike. Like, it's very kind of.
I think I've said that Reddit is probably at this moment probably one of the better places, even though they're messing with it. But Discord is like, it has these elements where you can shape your own social media site, which is superior to these other platforms too. And I like that. The problem is that people don't get the same kind of feedback response on it, because generally you have smaller communities, and it is very cacophonous and disorienting, because there's no direct
task.
It's all, you've got to click on a channel, you got to click on the person who's texting you, then you got to click on the group chat. It's like there's no clear path forward, so people don't get the same kind of stimulus response that you do on Twitter, where you just get updude. This is not a debate anymore. It started as a debate.
Did it even? I don't even. I feel like we intended it to be a debate and didn't turn into
I thought I was really scared that you weren't going to be able to come up with a third set and third character, and I'm just saying I adore this set so much. It's so good. I keep thinking maybe I should do these refined sets and share them with you, so you have the very professional sets that I have, but I love you winging it like this, and I love the last minute nature. It literally took me this this is not a set, but to set up these bookshelves, all these books on it for this stream. It took me a while.
Yeah, it's fun. I love jankiness. Like, I love getting things like good enough. Like, the rough outline of a good idea is a lot of times good enough. You got the concept whiteboarded. It's practically done at that point.
That's I talk to Incubator a lot about this, how sometimes when I have an idea for making a joke and making a video, if I work it out in my brain, I've seen it, I don't need to finish it. The only reason to finish it is to share it with other people. And a lot of times I feel like a lot of people don't really care. So I'm like, yeah, maybe this is just for me. But I try to polish it up, but it's always so disheartening when I have the idea in my head, I finish the video, and then I'm like, it needs to be polished up to present professionally. And then like I get 100 people liking it. It's like, was it worth it to get those people? And it's like, I would like to bring more people into the community because I love this sense of intimacy between us, like everybody talking. And I think there are more people out there, and that's what I think the more people like us we bring into it, the better whatever we're all doing is. It's not that I have any desire to become a celebrity, because I don't even like having my face on video. I don't like being the focus of attention, but I do like being a part of a group that I think is doing something fun or creative. Yeah. I think I'm totally rambling here, but this goes back to when I was a kid. They tested me for these special programs, which I don't even know if they do anymore, because it seems like kind of unethical to test kids for IQ. And then you're like, oh, this kid has 150 IQ, so we're going to put them with other kids and see what kind of outcome we get. This is what the Nazis were doing with the eugenics program. They were looking for people who had the superior intellect, and then they were supposed to be whatever, the chosen people of the society. So it's really scary. But the worst thing is when you're a creative kid and you're putting these special programs, there's enormous pressure on you. And they say, you're like, the thing that really fucked with my brain was the gifted teacher telling my mom, of all the gifted kids, your kid is going to be the one to change the world. And so hearing this, when you're in third grade, and then your mom is not smart enough not to tell you that, your mom should never tell you something like that. Then you like live your whole life, oh, I'm supposed to be the person to change the world. And then then I'm just a slacker, like, because school was so easy. I didn't ever have to do any work at all. I just coasted through it, and then like I didn't learn anything. I even dropped AP calculus in high school because it was so boring. And I decided I wanted to shop for records. So I stopped going and just drove around town buying records. So and that was how I changed the world. So
nice. Yeah, no, I was definitely the smart kid, but I definitely wanted to make sure I got a 4.0 so I could get a full scholarship because I knew about indentured servitude and debt prisons ever since the second grade. So I didn't want any of that on my record. So I was going to do the needful. And I would just come up with elaborate lies. I would play hooky. I would get in so much. I would do worse things than the bad kids, but never get in trouble because I was the perfect little angel. I'm walking down the hall with a baseball bat, but it's fine. He's on the baseball team. He can do that. Like,
so you were on the baseball team and one of the better students?
Oh, hell yeah. I hit home runs, man. I love baseball. Like, that's why I golf now. Like, just love hitting things really hard and far. Like, growing up, like, so I have like 30 cousins and I'm the second youngest. So there was just tons of older boys in it. So like I have like my older brother and a whole bunch of other cousins that are like close to my age, like within 4 years. So like doing competitive sporting events has been like my whole life, like being like the little kid who tries to fit in and like act his best so that he could hang out with the cool kids. Yeah. Or like the older kids, like that was always me. Like I never like hanging out with people my age that much because they were always so immature. They had less resources. So yeah.
A Human says that it's generally accepted in the psych crew that telling a child that they're gifted is a great way to mess them up. And yeah, this is like, I think this is a very real thing. And there's lots of evidence to support this, but like in my real life, my kid is incredibly smart, probably more talented than I am, probably a better thinker, probably more empathetic. But I don't ever want to be like, you're so talented and you've got this, which is problematic because then you also can result in different kind of insecurities if the kid is not getting the kind of the proper kind of input So it's like the idea that people can just have kids and there's no kind of they don't want to consult a textbook or they don't want to be told that they're parenting wrong is kind of messed up. Part of the reasons why we're so messed up right now is people think that homeschooling is there are benefits to homeschooling for sure. Especially,
you think there should be a parenting license or like mandatory parenting classes?
I mean, there's an argument to be said for that. I mean, I wish my parents like. Do you not wish your parents had better training in terms of parents, or do you think?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, they weren't the worst parents in the world. They were very dysfunctionally functional. I kind of came out fine, and despite them being flawed people that didn't have a coherent plan, I kind of came out all right, and they didn't like fight with each other. They were like, the kids are the most important, not our petty bullshit. So I'm like, all right, mom and dad, you're flawed people, but at least you had the right like end objective over here. Good on you. So yeah.
So it's weird how this conversation has devolved. I was just supposed to destroy you with facts and logic.
Yeah.
And we ended up just being
like vibing and
being best friends and me complimenting. I love I still can't say it enough how much this is like perfect for me. I wish this is the kind of ridicule of these people that I love. The original idea was for Termcast was for me to dress up like Tim Pool, never mention Tim Pool, but talk about really philosophical topics and be super intellectual and be like the exact opposite of what his show was. So when people would watch my show, they'd be like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, this isn't stupid. You know,
that would be so hard to pull off. I feel like I do the same thing. I feel like I have jokes in my mind that are hilarious to me, and I'm like, this will never translate to anybody else in the world. But like, yeah, it would be great. Like if you're just reading some super dense philosophical article and like breaking it down like he does with like stupid articles and being like,
I should just do that. I mean, it's weird because I do like doing really unique jokes that very few people get, but like having Tim Pool read through the systematic application of terminology and the comparative and just like make it seem very sincere. People are like, holy shit, you know, this guy is not the moron we thought he is. And like the thing is, like my tool set is getting to the point where I probably could make a convincing deep fake of it.
Nice.
I have like right now my tech is not. My tech is good, but it can't do it in real time. The face swapping software does webcam, so it can make you look like somebody else in real time, but it chunks because it can't process my 4080 can't process it quick enough to make it look genuine. It's just like it looks like it's from 2000. So I wanted to ask on the topic of the 4080, Brandy got a new PC. I wanted to talk to her about her desktop if she's still here and find out what she decked it out with, because I just recently bought my PC and 2 new monitors, and then she's like, oh, I got a new computer, and she showed it to me, and she had the Samsung Odyssey curved monitors. I was like, you're flexing on me. This is like, now I got to go out and get the curved monitors. I thought of it. She originally told me to get them.
Keeping up with the Panther. It's supposed to keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Panther. Why are you giving into the capitalism rat race over here? I thought you were above all of that. Aren't you above like material possessions?
I am. It's really about the tech. Although I do enjoy trying to set up like the ultimate hacker setup where you got all your screen setup. The TV version of it. One of my favorite videos is like, have you seen the video from CSI where they're both typing on the keyboard at the same time to try to prevent
no, I feel like CSI was so ridiculous. I love it. It was so bad. It was good.
I'm gonna let's watch those videos because
you're gonna get the stream demonetized real quick over there.
We're gonna miss out on that 0.006 cents. I'm gonna find this. Let's see. Okay, don't know where I'm at. It's nice not to have to juggle all of the things I normally juggle on stream, so probably be a little more. But since we're both hackers here,
I'm a hacker computer too.
Were you into alt.binaries.sega Dreamcast? Or did you not do Usenet? It was Usenet after you or before you?
No, I wasn't. Yeah, Usenet was a little bit too. Not before my time. I just didn't really go on it too much.
How were you getting your wares? That's what I want.
Like shit. way back in the day, it was like random ass FTP servers and SFTP servers that I would just know about through like various like wares channels that I would just get on chat. And then eventually it kind of just became like various torrenting, pirating sites like transition, like the Napster to the LimeWire to all those other peer-to-peer network sharing stuffs. And then it was like the hunt for like what website do you know that has the hacks at the moment, and you're always constantly kind of rotating through those. But yeah, I don't know. I still feel like you dig hard enough, you could get to it.
I have a friend who recently, he's actually in the R.M. Brown community. He's a visual designer in another country. I'm not going to mention to Dawson, but he's like, I have access to this site. And it's like one of those large pirate sites that still exist, but it's like kind of like not the dark web, but it's just hidden to everybody. And you only get access to it if you've got a friend in the know. And he's like, anything you need, I'll give it to you. And I was like, wow. All right. So here it is. And I can't believe you're still getting so much echo from your keyboard typing.
Oh, it's because all right. I want to respond to Thomas, but I will let me put the keyboard on.
I'm gonna let me play this video because I got it queued up.
Okay.
Are we ready for this video? About this is real hacking here.
CSI, let's go.
Okay. Let me know if you can see it.
I see it. We'll see if it shows up on stream.
I believe it's gonna be, if it shows up here, we can kind of assume it's on stream. All right, so here it goes.
For weeks, I've been investigating the cabbie killer murders with a certain morbid fascination.
This is in real time. I'll create a GUI interface using Visual Basic. See if I can track an IP address.
Yeah, that's the classic. That line got said so many times.
I love that jobs. So much. I love it so much.
The best part is, like, you would use a Visual Basic to create a GUI. That's a great tool for doing it. But like the writer IP address, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, there's no hacking involved.
It's so funny.
But the words vaguely make sense. Like, yeah.
Okay, so here's the other one.
No way. I'm getting hacked.
A port scan?
No, this is major. They've already burned through the NCIS public firewall.
Well, isolate the node and dump them on the other side of the router.
I'm trying. It's moving too fast.
Oh, this is not good. We're using our connection to the Infus database. Sever it.
I can't. It's a point attack. He or she is only going after my machine.
It's not possible. This DoD level 9 encryption. It would take months to get built. Hey, what is that, video game?
No, Tony, we're getting hacked.
They get in Abby's computer. The entire NCIS network is next.
I can't stop him.
That's that. I'm going to not share that, but I just love the idea of two people typing on the same keyboard. It's such a great idea.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in real life, sharing keyboards half the time, I'd go to somebody, they'd have it in like Dvorak, or they'd have one of those stupid ergonomic keyboards. I'm like, I can't type anymore. Yeah.
So, anyways, back to.
I wanted to circle back to Thomas's question of what was the debate topic, and this is a beautiful moment to do a little bit of self-deprecation.
We can go back. We can go back to the beginning of the stream, which probably was pretty good, and I think we devolved into
normalness and not acting like our fun little improv characters over there. But essentially, at the beginning of the stream, we were having an intellectual debate of what is the purpose, or why are we here whatsoever. And Terminal was positing the theory that I'm merely doing this to stroke my own ego and to hear my own voice on stream, while I was trying to convince him that I speak my thoughts for altruistic reasons to help enlighten the world and help the people's thought process, to reduce their stress, to allow them to come to terms with the reality, the trials and tribulations that they must confront on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And through my talking a lot, it helps the people think. And if you help people think, it'll help them achieve. So I do it.
Okay.
Because I'm a good dude.
That I appreciate you bringing it back. The conversation was about why some of us go on Reddit and get engaged, overly engaged sometimes with people, and to try to convince them of our own, try to convince them of a different position, try to get them to see the light. And I said my position was that sometimes we get too consumed with that, and sometimes we just need to, know in our heart that we have a better position and that we're never going to be able to convince them, and try to be more conciliatory was my position. And he said that his position wasn't, I'm not speaking for him. He basically said what he said. And I'm going to put my glasses on right now to illustrate the intellectual superior superiority of my position. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. the noise. No, just about the degrees of engagement we get on Reddit and why we do what we do, and whether we are people. I referred to Twisted as a person.
Twisted. I like that.
Dude, I'm totally confused now. And Billy, my friend Billy's totally confused me with names. Toasted. That we're both of this trope where we feel like we are just compelled to try to show people that we're right and we're in the moral high standing. And he said that he's not that way. He does it for other reasons, which I'm open to it. But this goes back to the background of philosophy that I have with, empiricism and the idea that if you talk to people, you can come to the best conclusion. If you're rational with people, you can convince them of the proper way of seeing things, which I no longer subscribe to. I no longer subscribe to the fact that you can reason through with people and get them to see the light. I believe that people are primarily motivated by, not primarily, but considerably motivated by emotions based on their personal experiences. So no matter how reasonable and rational you are, no matter what facts you have on your side, if a person experienced a certain event and that was an emotional event for them, in their brain, they're going to try to do whatever it's possible to ignore everything you say and to find facts that support their own position. Mm-hmm. So, and we kind of had a I don't know what word in text. It always seems more the fact that we can be so friendly here, but in text, there's no
contentious.
Yeah, and that's why I think that, like I've mentioned constantly, social media is bad because we don't see other people's faces. We don't know how what we say affects another person. And I broken record here, but human beings have so many facial muscles because we have the ability to convey our emotion. And we've actually are biologically designed to respond to facial states.
Yeah.
Mirror
one of the facts I like is like humans like visually process the face way larger than it actually is. Like we kind of zoom in and blow up people's faces when we look at them, like it's just enhanced automatically. Yeah.
But I was mentioning mirror neurons. Like when you see somebody crying, you're more susceptible to crying and whatnot. And social media removes all of that. So we all tend to be worse people because part of our basic human design has been extracted from us. So we tend to be more pedantic, more hostile towards people because we don't see the misery we're causing them, or we don't see how we're upsetting them and whatnot. So it was good that we took this conversation here because we can eliminate those. Text doesn't read well a lot of times, and I mean, unless you're the most weird autistic person, and even then it probably doesn't read right. Text in a vacuum is just inherently problematic in my Whereas I think I said before that writing somebody a letter, if you received a letter in the mail, it seems like such a genuine, you would be like, oh my God, this, but when you see text in real time and you see what people are saying, you're always like trying to figure out, what is this person trying to tell me? And is this person being serious? Are they being sarcastic? And so there's such an incredible sense of, or an incredible potential for people to misinterpret what we're doing online. And that's, I don't see us going in any other direction right now other than just fighting and quibbling and being more tribal. And
that's why we are having these idealized debates to teach people how to communicate with one each other, to show that there's harmony in communication. We're leading by example over here. We're not just stroking our egos. We're stroking the community.
We're trying to find common ground. You may be wearing a black beanie. I'm be wearing this beanie that's frayed and has a lot of whatever happening. But we're basically all human beings.
All human beings.
So I don't. Did we resolve? Did we get to any of the issue? Is there more to be talked about there? I was supposed to respond to your video, and the reality is, I did also respond to your previous video. And
when are you going to share that?
I'm not sure how interesting it would be because it's basically me talking about my own personal vision and what I'm thinking and my reaction to some of what you were saying. I did really like, for anybody watching this who gives a shit, posted. We had some show notes that we wanted to talk about, and he's trying to be kind of a producer, and he wanted to give me some ideas for how we could refine what we're doing. And I went over these notes, and I responded back to him in a video form, and then he responded back to me in a video form, and then I did another video of that. But the takeaway for me was watching you read the notes for the show and playing guitar was like, actually, it was enjoyable for me. I don't know if other people would find it enjoyable to see the notes for the show and you playing your guitar and criticizing, whatever I'm thinking. But it was okay content for me. If I were looking for YouTube content, I would totally get suckered into that. This is how I am. This is how weird my watching taste is on YouTube. The video that I've most enjoyed so far in the last 48 hours is a video called "The RZA unironically creates a terrible beat for Guitar Center," and it's where the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, and it is a terrible beat, and it's like it's pretty incredible. But I do like that kind of thing, and I would watch somebody talking about their stream, So.
The only reason I took my guitar out even is because you shit on Creep, and so I was like, I have to troll.
I did no. I didn't mean that it was necessarily a bad song, but I believe that when they wrote it, part of the reason why he was doing the because he was annoyed with the song and he was frustrated with the song, but also it's not the best.
Oh yeah, no, like I thought it was a funny comment to throw.
No.
It's funny because like I feel like in general you try to create very positive, friendly environments. So like when you're casually shitting on something like that, drive-by devastation bomb by Terminal.
Yeah, it has. I get in this. I get it. I get into it with Terminella about it because she's very young, and my brain is one in which this is partly why I mentioned why I like typing out things, because you have the deliberation of hitting enter and then you say what you say to the other person. But in real life, if you're a person like me, you just often just rant and say the first thing that pops into your brain rather than just being more deliberate and saying something. So a lot of things that I say are not intended to be taken in a hurtful way.
It gives you the real you, I would argue.
Yeah. So like I've met people in my life that just the candor that I have naturally, I'm working on trying not to be as forthright in my brain processes with people. But the candor historically has been off-putting to people. If you speak your mind and you speak the truth of what you feel, most people don't want to hear that. Being like a normal human being is just like, how was the weather yesterday?
Groupthink, yay! Positive platitudes, yay!
So there's that.
No, it's good. I like that you feel comfortable rambling in front of me, because then I just pick and poke and prod and drill into the parts that I find interesting, and it's like double clicking. I'm like, oh, cool. We're going deeper into the file explorer of Terminal's mind right now. Fun.
Yeah. So the and that's another thing. I'm not live streaming or showing my face because I feel, like I said, compelled to be like, oh, everybody's got to see me and they got to know what it's
the face that's going to change the world.
Yeah, it's more like you're saying right now. I feel like I've had conversations with people in real life, and I'm like, oh, I'm really super fortunate to be able to talk to this person and have my life enriched by their perspective and whatnot. And I think about how many people don't have that. Am I repeating myself?
I won the debate. Have I convinced you that that my argument was right? Okay, no. Okay.
You were wrong, and I'm just trying to be nice because I feel like inside you've been shattered and you're crying and you're trying to maintain a composure. And I'm an empathetic dude. I don't want to humiliate you on stream. I just want to bring you on, clown on you a bit, and then pretend that I'm a great guy. So
nice. Okay.
No, I was like the idea of sharing some conversations that people might not be able to have in their own life. I think people go to social media because you don't have, not everybody has a really, really thoughtful person. So you're like, oh, I'm going to go. And then Jordan Peterson ends up being your thoughtful person, because he's popular, not because he actually is thoughtful. So, I feel like if I can share whatever, that's why I like any friend I have who I think is interesting or whatnot, I want to bring them on and share them with people. It's strange. But
yeah, no, I understand that completely. Like, despite how much I shit on Amazon and hated working there for many reasons, the one thing I did love is that like it's a trial by fire. So most of the people that work there are very intelligent. So like it's just nice to be surrounded by like very smart people a lot of the times, and like a lot of them are super ambitious to the point where like damn, like you're making me feel like I'm like not doing shit with my life. So like it's great to be surrounded in those environments a lot of times. So like I totally hear you. Surrounding yourselves with a community, being able to add things to their lives and have them share with others, you know, it makes sense. You dirty communist wanting to make everybody's life better for no cost. How dare you?
Yeah, you mentioned working with particular environments do have particular types of people, but you mentioned working with people with ambition. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day about how like I think ambition is bad. What do you think about that, Mr.
Ambition is bad.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a hilarious take. First of all, like you're
I'm
like
gonna put it out there. Ambition.
All right,
is
I
bad.
like that hot take. All right, I'm really hoping you're able to defend this one. It's like ambition is bad. Like you don't want to complete any of your projects. Like you don't think any goals are good. Like you're like Terminella. I don't care how she turns out.
Maybe I should clarify. Ambition in your personal life among family and friends, probably good. Ambition in your business life and under the system of capitalism is not so good. Maybe.
But what if you're using it as a means to an end? It's like the same thing with like the rape situation. What if you're trying to rape capitalism so you can destroy capitalism? Like sometimes it takes money to power. You know, you might need to become a billionaire to overthrow the government. Like so maybe that's what.
But don't you think there's the issue there? If you do become that person, the powerful, that you're going to achieve these great means so you can use it to destroy the thing that you rose up in, that a lot of times you end up being corrupted and you
get corrupted, but like
the person who.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Like some of them got to like do a good job eventually. Like, I mean, do you wish we were still ruled under the King of England? Are you grateful that our forefathers rebelled? Like, I don't know. You wish.
Nope. I have always been against the American Revolution. That's
I love these takes. No to ambition. No to the American Revolution. I love.
Think about it. Here's my argument for you.
Okay.
Canada stayed a part of the UK
British Commonwealth, yes,
and they basically just gradually evolved into this. Lots of countries did that. We, on the other hand, had a violent revolution where we basically were, insurrectionists, and we overthrew. We had basically business leaders who were not happy with their profit take. I mean, all these people, they ended up in America because they couldn't succeed in the UK. They're the descendants of people who decided, I like what these people are doing here. Let's go somewhere else and start it up. So they wanted to get away from that so they could enrich themselves. So like the origin story of the United States is very kind of ugly and selfish. And if you look at the countries that didn't revolt, like they all seem far more civilized than our country. I mean, Australia too, right? Australia was a part of the Commonwealth, and those people there, all these other countries, when bad things happen, like when there was the mass shooting in Australia, they were able to get their people to be like, okay, yeah, we're going to get rid of these things because we don't want to have mass shootings anymore. But our people have been told that hyper individualism is good, revolution against tyranny is good, and so we've cultivated a cult of kind of crazy people who can't see the bigger picture. They always just think everything's a threat to their individual liberty. So there's my take against the American Revolution.
Yeah, I feel like you're projecting on the American Revolution, and you like making like the patriotic imagery that the right wing uses today to like justify like that. But we can have this debate. I would love to get into this a little bit more. But
well, I'll just say, I am kind of an Anglophile. I love British culture and whatnot. I love the storied history. They got this history of
monarchs.
But they've got the history
of religious being integration into the government.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the history of the pushback against that. Like the Enlightenment philosophers, John Locke, John Stuart Mill, these people pushed back, and they basically are why we have democracy today. Even though they're considered conservative today, these people were radicals who were pushing back against the rule of the church. And that's why I like you, in order to get that kind of the ability for people to sit and think and come up with constructive criticism, you kind of have to have a comfort zone for a whole group of people. You kind of have to have a culture. I mean, I fucking hate the idea of, Western culture and all these people that put it forth, because it's all rooted in racism. But in order to get some of these ideas, like the math that came out of the Middle East and whatnot, you do have to have some sort of stable culture that exists through time. And then you get these great ideas. And so I always go back to the UK. So I'm also just be better. I just feel like all of the people in the United States, again, they were just failed people from the UK. Thomas Jefferson just basically plagiarized John Locke. Thomas Jefferson wrote Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness. But that's John Locke, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Property. So there's nothing original about these people who stole the ideas from the UK and who rebelled against the UK because they wanted to make more money and kill a bunch of indigenous people.
That is quite the hot take. And I feel like I will have a lot of various pushback on that. I want to go into like our whole France alliance as well, and like how could you dare bash Marquis de Lafayette and all the great patriots who rose up to fight against the tyranny that is England. And how it's a much larger.
Okay, so England's tyranny. Let's just bring up Thomas Jefferson, who basically was really cool with all of his people, all of his friends, and the people in France dying because he believed that he had such a hatred for the monarchy. He was okay with all of these other people he knew in France dying in the French Revolution for the greater good. And the other thing is Thomas Jefferson with Manifest Destiny, the idea that he thought that we should just go and take all the land from the native people, and that we would be sufficient. He wanted to create a country full of stable, self-sufficient farmers. And if you look at Americans, none of these people are like today. We don't have self-sufficient people. Most people can't even, make their own sandwiches. So they go to a shop to have the sandwich made. So the idea of Thomas Jefferson's vision that we're going to have everybody's going to be self-sufficient and individual. It's just
that's your same criticism of communism. Communism in theory has never worked out. Like you look at the USSR, it's so bad. Like we just haven't had the hyper individual ideal that Jefferson advocated for. We got this warped version instead. We didn't get the true Jeffersonian vision over here.
But I don't really ever advocate for communism, and I'm not one of those people who's like, I don't really.
So it works for you in your small community, but you don't advocate it as the country as a whole. Just to be clear, is your stance?
No, it depends on how are you defining communism? If you're defining communism in terms of more of a socialistic view in which the workers control the means of production, that would be ideal with me. Communism to me is just antithetical to capital. The idea that under capitalism, the idea is that people are entitled to make money based on having money. That's the principle of capitalism. Communism is where people have to work for their money and everybody's kind of working equally. Capitalism is the real system of parasitic leeches where you just have people who have amassed huge amounts of wealth and figure that they are entitled to the wealth just by moving money around. Whereas communism is just rooted in labor movements. Like there were communists in California who were just wanted to protect the rights of each other. That's how I view it. I don't view it as having a state that's planning out your economy or any weird thing like that. It's more of a labor movement for me. Like the Communist Manifesto. That's all it is workers get together and unionize. But when most people hear communism, they think of Stalin in the Ukraine and Pol Pot.
Do you feel like you have as good a vision of Jefferson's vision of what he wanted for America that you do of communism? Like you have a very nuanced, deliberate take, but when you're describing Jefferson, you gave him like a straw. No, self-sufficient farmers. That's what he wanted. We didn't have it. Shit idea. He's a shit person. Like to me, I feel
there's a lot of issues here. Is that this is a guy who wrote all these documents on a desk and made by slaves in a house made by slaves, and he's like, oh, individual liberty. And then if you read his work, unlike some of the other founding fathers who tend to be more nuanced, he just seems to be somebody who wants to be liberated from authoritarian rule of the king. Whereas I think that's okay, but there are some things where I think authoritarian rule is necessary. For one,
nice. Okay, we got a good take going here.
You can't own other human beings. I think you need an authority to come in and say that, right? And that's partly why Jefferson was resisting the that type of authorities, because he wanted to own other human beings, because his wife was born into a slave family and he was married into a slave family. So of course he's going to resist authority. So that's why I think authority has to step in sometimes and tell people you can't own other human. There are lots of principles where, democracy or whatever is not going to come to the right position, because there's going to be people who are voting that they have a right to own other human beings. So that would be my position.
Fascinating. I like it. And I like how this has actually gotten back to debate bro topics, though. Like this.
Well, it was supposed to be a mockery of the debate, bro. We were supposed to. I just wanted to make fun of Reddit, even though it's, again, my favorite social media platform. I wanted to make fun of the degree of which people just go at each other. Like I think that when you're in the Boston subreddit talking about Boston, that is the ideal use of Reddit. I like the idea of people coming together to appreciate. Like
that's why when you guys were like, how do you guys like stay off of social media and not see the bullshit? I go to the cute dog subreddit. That's all I see is cute dogs. Like, but yeah, I honestly, speaking of cute dogs, it's well past Jelly's dinner time, and I'm getting pretty hungry myself. But well, I very much enjoyed the 90-minute impromptu stream. So thanks for having me.
Yes, I did too, and hopefully we work through some of whatever conflict we might have had.
The fisticuffs will drop. Otherwise, I'll meet you halfway between here and Arizona. Yes. We'll meet you at the four corners.
So, and thanks for joining us. And if there's anything else I don't know if we need to address the chatters for showing up. We were kind of unexpected to have everybody here, but it was nice to see everybody. A Human, Thomas, of course, Billy Brown, Panther Pyre, Justin Brown's sister. Anybody else show up? I think that's everybody. It's our central core crew. So it was good to see everybody, and thanks for putting up with whatever strangeness this was.
Thank you all.
Have fun with Jelly.
Thank you. Bye. We'll pat Jelly for you, Panther. No problem.
All right.